All right, before we get too much further into phases, we first need to kind of define what the new the new part of the addition will look like so that we can start modeling some new um, elements, and then we can start phasing those elements and demolishing other elements. And so in order to do that and just get a defined scope of what we're going to be modeling, we're going to bring in a CAD file. And what that's going to look like is we're going to place the CAD file next to the building. The CAD file, we're going to say the current owner had his friend or his brother-in-law, that's always the case. They come to you with some sketch that someone did for them, and we're going to bring that CAD file into the model right next to the building, and it'll show us a floor plan of what we need to be modeling. So it's good to know how to insert a CAD file. A lot of times clients will have CAD files for you, if you're lucky. And it's nice because a CAD file has a scale and you can even snap to the lines while you're drawing. As opposed to when we started this project, we used an image and we were just kind of drawing over the top of the image and we had to scale the image and all of that stuff. A CAD file, you shouldn't, hopefully, depending on how it was made, you shouldn't have to rescale it. It should come in at the right scale. And then you don't have to guess if you're tracing over it. You can precisely trace over the CAD file because you can snap to the lines. So like most things, you go to, when you want to bring them in, you'll go to the Insert tab and you'll see there is an Import CAD file. That's what we're going to use. But before we do that, you'll notice in the module there is a link that says here's the CAD file you'll need for the exercise. Go ahead and click on that and download the CAD file so that you have it. And then you'll hit the Import CAD. Also, before I get too far into this, there's two options for bringing in CAD. There's the Import CAD option, which is what we're going to do, or you can link in the CAD file right here. The difference is if you link it in, it doesn't actually bring the CAD file in. I mean, it does, but it's not permanently inside your Revit file. It's just a link to the CAD file. So that can be good or bad. It's good in the sense that if you're still working, if someone else is still working on the CAD file, they can give you a new CAD file and all you have to do is save the new file over the top of the old CAD file. And when you open up Revit, it will update the CAD file with whatever changes the other person made to the actual CAD file. If you link it in, then it's permanently put inside, it's stored inside the Revit file. And if you want to make changes to the CAD file, you have to relink it in. They won't automatically update. So you pick what you want to do, but for this exercise, let's just import the CAD file so that it comes right in. So I'll click import, and then I'm just going to navigate to it really quickly. And then I just highlight that. It gives me a little preview. And then let's take a look at the settings. So it tells you what the name is, what the file type is, and then it's going to ask, do you want us to keep all the colors that are in CAD or not? I don't like that. I just tell it to go black and white. I don't like all the different colors CAD brings in. It's confusing to me. And then what layers do you want it to bring in? I always bring in all of them. I usually let it decide. It auto detects the units from the file. If you bring in a CAD file and it's clearly not the right scale, you might play with this option and tell it what units the original file is in. But I usually leave this on auto detect. And then the positioning is another thing that you'll have to play with. I like to do, oh man, it's hard to explain this. There's center to center. So the CAD file has what AutoCAD defines as the center of that file. And then Revit also has a center that Revit thinks is the center of its file. So if you use center to center, it will line up the center of the Revit file with the center of the CAD file. That sometimes works, but like if you're getting a CAD file from a civil engineer, they're typically not anywhere near the center of the AutoCAD file. And so if you line center to center, you're going to wonder where the CAD file went, because it could be 2 miles away in the model. So I don't love center to center. Origin to origin is similar to center, but you can define origins in both Revit and AutoCAD, and you could line those up. But I like to do manual center. So instead of automatically trying to align them, it'll let you click where you want the CAD file to be. So I'm going to do manual center, and we're going to place it at the main floor level. So now, because AutoCAD is a 2D object, it wants to know what of your levels, where do you want me to place it? So if you had a 2-level house and you had the main floor plan and the second level floor plan in CAD, you could place one on the main floor and one on the second level in Revit. And then you would just align the 2 CAD files between each other, and then you could start modeling the first floor and the top floor. But in this case, we just have one level, and we want it to be on the main level. So we're going to click that. And then something that isn't available right here, because I'm in a 3D view, is this little checkbox, which I use a lot. It says to only put the CAD file in the current view. So this is really good if you're in a floor plan and you don't want the CAD file to show up in 3D and in all of your other floor plans. You would click this button because you just want it in one view. But without that checked, it's going to place it as if it's in all of the views. So that's what we're doing right now. So I'm going to click open, and it's going to load the AutoCAD file. Do you see how it kind of follows my cursor? It wants me to click where I want the file to go. If I would have picked one of the auto options, it would have just gone directly in and placed it, and then I'd have to go scroll out and see if I could find where it put it. So I'm just going to click right here, and you can see that placed the AutoCAD file in 3D. Now I'm going to go to my working main floor plan, and now we've got to align it up. Well, first let's look at what's going on. So you can see in the CAD file, oh, here's the existing floor plan. Here's what was already built. And then you can see it's all hatched. Anything that they wanted us to keep, they've hatched. And now here's the new addition. So it looks like we're going to be adding this onto the building, and then we're going to be remodeling this little bit inside the current building. So let's get this lined up. You can click on it and you can move it around. That's another difference. If you would have clicked one of the auto center to center options, most likely when you click on this, it will be pinned and you won't be able to move it. So let's talk about pinning right now. I don't think we've talked about this but up till now. So you can click on any object in Revit, and there is an option called pinning. And what pinning does is it basically does what it says. It's like you took a safety pin and you stuck it in the object. And what it does is it keeps other people, or even yourself, it keeps people from moving that object, and it keeps it from being deleted. So by default, if you did one of the auto options, it would pin this element. It would pin your CAD file. So to pin an object, you'll click the object, and if you go up to the Modify tab, there is a little pin right here above the X. Looks like a push pin. If you click that button, you can now see it put this little thumbtack on the object. That indicates it's pinned. Now it won't let me, I can't move this and drag it around anymore. I also, if I hit delete, it won't let me delete it. It tells me this object's pinned and you can't delete it. So to unpin it, you can just click on this little icon and you can see it shows a pin with an X through it. And now I can move it around. Or you can go up here and hit the unpin button, which is right above the pin button. So that might be good for you to know now. That's kind of like a tip or trick. But so our CAD file is unpinned, and so we're free to move it around. I want to precisely align this CAD file with the existing building so that I know exactly how to add on. So I'm just going to pick a common spot in both of those. Like, to me, this corner we could align that corner with this corner. Now your current model may not line exactly with this CAD file, depending on what dimensions or what adjustments you have made to your house, but do your best to align. Basically what we really care about is that this wall aligns pretty well with our new wall. So I'm just going to pick, really you can pick anything to reference, but I'm going to use the move command. So let's select the CAD file and I'll go up here to the move command. And so I'll pick my reference point and then my destination point, which is right here. Okay, so now you can see there's my CAD file and then here's my model. Now the only problem is this is a little confusing to look at, especially once we start modeling. It's really confusing that this looks exactly like our CAD file looks exactly like our model elements. So something you can do is you can click on the CAD file and you can right click, and do you remember our override graphics in view command? It's right under the hide in view. There's an override view. So I can override this element, or I can override the whole category of elements, but I'm just going to override this one element. So it says, okay, how do you want it to look? So I could half tone it if I wanted. I could make it invisible. I could change its transparency, or there's this little arrow that says projection lines. So you can pick what kind of line you want if you don't want it to be solid, but I want it to be solid. That's fine. I just want to change the color of all the lines. So I'm going to hit this button and I'm going to make it something ridiculous, like let's do magenta, and then click OK. And now it will make my CAD file magenta. So now if I select it and move it, you can see everything's magenta. I'm going to do Control Z and undo that. And now I can clearly see what's CAD file and what is my model. So that can be really helpful. All right, so now that we have the CAD file imported, the graphics are overridden so we can tell what's going on, and it's aligned, now we can start modeling in the correct phase. So we'll start that in the next video.